Hello, it's Thursday, January 8th. Welcome to Daily Recall. I'm Tom Stoukas, coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario. January 8th. Can't remember. I keep forgetting what day it is. So, the last few days was my news feed and social media was full of the Venezuela adventure of Donald Trump and how it's affecting Canada. But today it's kind of eased off the Venezuela story, and we're back to the third worldization of Canada and a lot of Indian stories again. I don't make them up. I don't look for them. They find me. Start for this time. We're gonna try and do more in the future is a local stories. We got our mayor, Mike Bradley, sounding off ahead of the municipal election. And as usual, he makes me lose my cool because I can't stand the guy. Guy's been mayor like for 40 years. It's horrible. He wins like he did Democratic, I guess, but it still sucks. And he said some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So we're going to focus on that first. Some local news first. And then some Indians doing bad stuff again. I'm sure we'll be talking about other stuff in the future with the Ukraine, World War III, Trump invading Greenland, maybe. Who knows? There's gonna be lots of stuff to talk about in 2026. So let's start off with Sarnia Mayor Mike Bradley, and he is gonna run again in October because that's all he knows. He doesn't know anything else. What's he gonna do if he doesn't run? He's gonna die. He wants to die in office, like of natural causes, obviously, but he doesn't. That's all he is. That's his life. So ruining Sarnia. Like if you go to other cities and municipalities in this area, they're much better run. And when you got some guy there that's been there 40 years, things are gonna get stale. Got to get some new blood in there. Anyway, this is what he said. We're gonna go through what he said. Sorry, I'm gonna go through what he said. He basically gives a speech, and this is kind of his State of the Union. Him. So he gave a speech to like the Rotary Club or something. I don't know. So let's go with what he says here. Let's look at what he says here. He says, we're going to challenge everything he says too, because he's just a bad guy. Okay. Over the years, the world has changed and is much more combative, particularly for women candidates, he said. But we need good people to run so the vacuum isn't filled by people who shouldn't be at council chambers. Spoken like a true commie. Degenerate. So basically he's saying it's much more combative. Pot calling the kettle black. He plays dirty. This guy is a dirty player, and he was sanctioned for his abuse of women employees at City Hall. He actually banned a woman counselor from attending council during COVID because she wasn't vaccinated. It was very I think she was the only woman on council, maybe, too. So let's talk about being he's talking about himself, combative, particularly against women. We do need good people to run. We need you to retire, Mike Bradley. He has yet to announce plans if he seeks. He is running, trust me, unless he gets struck down. He was first elected mayor in 1988. Oh my God. No wonder, under his mayorship, Sarnia's been the butthole of Ontario, literally. And it doesn't have to be that way, but it is. And it was always a joke, but it's not a joke. It's true. This guy's got to go. All right, let's see what he says. Given the current bully culture, Bradley said he would be surprised if every municipal election in Ontario is difficult. Getting good people to run and then climate we're in, we cannot sustain it when you have meetings being adjourned because of the behavior, not of the public, because of the councillors. So he's talking about his upcoming opponent, Bill Dennis. Bill gets a little heated, but he ain't going to stay in the mayor for 40 years because, he actually has skills. He could do other stuff. But, he's focusing on Bill Dennis because that's going to be his opponent. So this is his camp. This is his life. This is all he does. He doesn't care about Sarnia. He just cares about this campaign against Bill Dennis. And his behavior, like I said, he was sanctioned for his conduct. He wasn't even allowed in City Hall. He needed a chaperone so he wouldn't harass staff. This, I don't even know why this guy's still mayor, to be honest. And also during COVID, he was divisive. He's making cruel jokes against non-vaccinated Canadians and Sarnians. Very poor leadership. He's a COVID commie. So it said, now he's saying that if someone is seriously damaging to a community or council, there should be an option to have them removed through a judicial process. So basically he's saying charge councillors who get out of line. Currently, council can vote to reprimand a member based on recommendations from the Integrity Commissioner, or they can receive and file the report. So basically, this guy's a total hypocrite. He's one of the worst guys, and he's been there way too long. Even Bill Gates left Microsoft. Even Jeff Bezos left Amazon. You can't stay at a job for 40 years. It's ridiculous. So that's what we're stuck with in Sarnia. But there's a lot of degenerate, globalist traitor mayors in Ontario, and he's just one of them. But he's one of the longest serving ones. Look at this guy. Look at this. That's it. We're done with this. Look at this guy. Look at this. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see if he gets elected mayor again. It's we deserve it. We deserve what we get. Okay. Let's go through some other stuff quick. Was this yesterday? Yes. Canada's being run underground, of course. First story here. An Uber driver. Yeah, let's import more rapists into Canada. See, we're back to the sexual assault stories. Basically, women in Canada, it's more and more dangerous for them, and girls. An Uber driver in they can't even take an Uber. They get with him getting assaulted. An Uber driver in Lethbridge, Manveer Singh, shocked, 27, is charged with sexually assaulting a 20-year-old woman during a ride home on November 9th, 2025. The victim said she booked an Uber in the early morning and was picked up to a Southside business. Basically, this happens a lot, often, over and over. It's the same story. They're probably picking them up after they're from the bar, so they don't drink and drive. I don't know how this continues to happen, but this is in Lethbridge, Alberta. So yeah, why is this guy here? Why would we import rapists? That's a good question. Let's import rapists from India. They got lots. Let's get some. Why are we importing so many rapists? This is in France. Is this France? African migrant rides the Paris metro, barefoot on the seats, smoking a cigarette. Other passengers afraid to intervene. So that's Paris, but it'll be Toronto and the rest of Canada soon. Because they're bringing in not just Indians, but a lot of Africans. Because, Africa's a hellhole, of course. They would want to get out of Africa. I would too, I guess. But someone's helping them. Someone's bringing them right to Sarnia. Why would they want to come to Sarnia? I wonder. Anyway. Enjoy the Paris metro. Next, we're back to Indian extortion stories. Brampton, Ontario. Indian living in Canada was sent a video of firearms being discharged into his home and demand for $500,000. The Indian national is operating an immigration and education consulting company. So he deserves. I don't have any sympathy for this guy at all. See, he has no idea why he's being targeted.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash.
Look at that.
Shots fired in a Brampton neighborhood. A gunman is recorded opening fire into this home in an alleged extortion attempt. And tonight, the homeowner is speaking out about the attack and the fears he has for himself and his family. Our John Musselman spoke to that man, and he joins us live with more. John.
Well, Michelle, as you just saw, the gunman fired those shots into the home. But here's what happened next. The next day, they sent the video of that shooting to the homeowner, demanding hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. This video obtained by CTV News shows the gunman firing at least 8 shots at a Brampton home last weekend. It was recorded by someone working with the gunman who was sitting in the car. A neighbor's camera also picked up the shooting. You can see it in the top left of your screen. Bullets smashed through the cars parked on the driveway and the garage door. The homeowner, his wife, and small child were inside. They were not hurt. The next day, this video showing the gunman firing the shots was sent to the homeowner and a text message.
We get it. It's extortion, but this is an Indian thing. It's happening in BC. It's happening in Alberta. It's happening in Ontario. It's ridiculous. Like, why are we bringing the mass numbers of people from India? They're obviously people like the Uber rapists and the extortion gang members. Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. So we need to probably ban immigration from India. That's my platform. One of my platform points, I guess. Because all these problems are coming from India. Sorry, guys, but it's the truth. All right. We need to ban it ASAP, because now you're going to get these guys doing the extortion. Now the government's spending millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars fighting extortion, when all we had to do is ban immigration. Much more effective and cheaper. All right. Here's a good story, at least. And this, I don't know if, like, it's a good story, but it should never have even been in place in the first place. So basically in Canada, for some crazy reason, if you have PR, you can sponsor your parents or your grandparents to come to Canada, and they get PR, which is crazy. Because when they're not contributing to Canada, they're past they're too old, and they're going to basically clog up the healthcare system. It's insane. So I remember my grandparents visited from Greece, and they, went back, or you can go visit them, Canada's not a nursing home. But so apparently the federal government is no longer accepting these kinds of immigration sponsorship applications. So got to keep it up, though. We got to keep the pressure. Because I see it, like, I'm not trying to single out the Indian community, but I see it with my eyes. is they're bringing all the grandmas and grandpas over. It's ridiculous. You know, if they want to come visit, they get a tourist visa and they visit and they go home. Grandpas, they're coming for a visit. All right. Canada was built by Christian greatness, not third world parasites. Well, it was definitely a first world country. It's changing into a third world country. That isn't a lie. Like, had its problems, but it was definitely a good high trust society to live in. This is Elon Musk, and this Jer guy is pretty straightforward on his views about what's going on to white people, and Elon's retweeting him. So let's see what this Jer says. I see a lot of this guy's posts, and they're very convincing. See, if white men become a minority, we will be slaughtered. Remember, if non-whites openly hate white men while white men hold a collective majority, then they will be 100 times or 1,000 times more hostile and cruel when they are a majority over whites. White solidarity is the only way to survive. And Elon's like 100%. And we got guys like Wyatt Claypool and Cat Canada and all the other phonies, Rebel News. And they basically, you try to say something like this and they call you Nazis. And these are conservatives, so-called conservatives. So even Elon Musk agrees with the nationalists. So there you go. Another sign of the Canada being a third world country. Well, it's a third world country, but the elites steal like crazy and buy votes like crazy with the various groups, just like you see in Minnesota with all the Somali daycares. So here, Mark Miller, who is I don't know, he's our culture minister, Trudeau groomsman, announces Black History Month. I didn't know, I thought February was Black History Month. $200 million fund for black organizations. Let's see what he says here.
And black serving organizations. This is what we've advanced to.
I hate this guy.
The work isn't done yet.
He was immigration
We've advanced
minister.
2 national anti-racism strategies to combat anti-black racism. We're establishing a $200 million endowment fund to provide sustainable funding for black-led, black-focused, and black-serving organizations.
So $200 million is going to be stolen
diversity, equity, and inclusion
by liberal insiders
and
and
the power of a strong Canada. Because when one community thrives, we as a people thrive.
yeah.
We've advanced and the work isn't done yet, but we've advanced.
Anyway, this guy's a traitor. He shouldn't even be in government. We got to get rid of all these guys. And they're basically, what they do is they're funneling money to blacks. Then they're going to funnel money to Muslims. They're going to funnel money to, and what that does is you're buying loyalty to destroy Canada. It's very racist too. Fund just for black organizations. But if they did a $200 million fund for white organizations, obviously that would be a no-no. All right. Okay, here we go. We got the Uber rapists. We got the extortion gang members. Now we got the truck drivers, the shitty truck drivers. And we were talking the other day about this guy. He was reckless driving in his truck and he killed a woman, 22-year-old. He got 55 days. And then this is a different one. Here's a Indian truck driver who nearly killed a woman and left her with life-altering injuries. Was released today on good behavior after spending 76 days in jail while the victim is still in hospital in recovery. He claimed refugee status to avoid deportation. He needed an English translator in court. His name was never released to the public. Yeah. This is ridiculous. You know, you'd think you'd learn after the Humboldt. Here, let's look at this. You'd think you'd learn, after the Humboldt massacre, Like he's on his phone. They're all on their phones. It's ridiculous. Boom. You know, I bet you this is. Anyway, the Humboldt. You think we'd learn from the Humboldt disaster, and you know, our traitor leaders. Wave of extortion. I'm watching the news. Wave of extortion shootings hitting Langley, BC. Oh God. So, you think we'd learn after the poor guys from the Humboldt Broncos got massacred and maimed by these guys? But no, it's happening on streets, Canadian highways. You know, can't even go on the highway now to London or Toronto without having to worry about these guys. So yeah, and the fact that he's claimed refugee status too, like, I don't know. We shouldn't even have these guys here, but now we can't get rid of them. There's Surrey, another hotbed for extortion. Like, this is ridiculous. We're importing all these problems. Like, sorry, Indians, you can't behave. You even the good ones, too bad. If you can't behave, like, we got extortion, we got truck crashes, we got Uber rapes. Look at this. Already in 2026, there have been 6 extortion cases, including 2 extortion shootings in Surrey alone. This family is woken just hours before another extortion shooting in North Delta. So basically, they're bringing their Indian culture to Canada, and the Canadian government and the Canadian law enforcement has to pay for it, and the Canadian taxpayer, and the judicial system gets backed up for all this crap. So yeah, and here we got in Sarnia. This happened yesterday at the Blue Water Bridge, and we don't know. They're not releasing any details, like very minimum details. We know a guy died. It happened at the toll booth, so probably a truck or a vehicle was coming in hot, and wasn't paying attention, probably on his phone, and wasn't paying attention to the lineup for the tolls. But they're not saying much yet. But if it's another thing, like a 60-year-old man from London died, like maybe he had a medical emergency, I don't know. But they close the thing all day, the booths at the Blue Water Bridge that goes into Michigan. So it'd be interesting to see if it was a Durka. Fatal crash report. There's lots of crashes near the bridge. Because these truckers, they've never been to Canada, and they've never been to this border crossing, and they don't know when it's coming up, I guess. Always constant accidents. All right. Look at this. Look at this dude. Babatunde Afuwape. Yeah, this is what I was saying about importing African dudes. We saw the African dude on the Paris Metro. Well, here's our Toronto version. I guess he shot an Indian student in Toronto. So was he wanted? Oh, they arrested him. Okay, first degree murder. Look at this dude. So yeah, third world Ontario, third world Canada. That's what we gotta try and reverse. Sorry, Babatunde. Gotta go. He's gotta get rid of this guy. I like this one. This guy's from England, but he kind of speaks the same thing. I know some of you cannot wrap your head around this, but remigration is the moderate, peaceful option. I support and push for remigration as a means to avoid widespread violence, which is inevitable in collapsing multi-ethnic countries. Unfortunately, he's probably right. There was a poll in Australia. There's like 40% of young kids, like under 20, teenagers. I don't know the age, but they were young kids, boys. Like 40% would go. Oh, there it is. 40% of boys aged 13 to 17 in Australia support right-wing violent extremism. That's a lot. But, you know, what? That's just rational for them, the boys. Like, if they see everybody trying to kill them, then yeah. So it just means 40% of the boys are rational. I don't know what the other 60% are thinking. Maybe they just don't want to say it. So yeah, the next generation is going to decide which way this thing goes. And how it goes. I'm just along for the ride. There's this, again, $200 million fund exclusively for black-led organizations. Yes. So basically, 200 million is going to get stolen. All right. Just like the Somalians. Here's Pierre. Did a 7-minute video on Venezuela and how we need to build pipelines because of what happened in Venezuela. And the reason I highlighted this is because all the politicians, not just Pierre, like all the politicians are talking about Venezuela and freedom in Iran and freedom in Venezuela and whatever. Or against it, whatever. They're talking about it, but they're not talking about, since it began, they're not talking about mass immigration. It's just war and oil while the invasion of Canada continues. So, like Mark Carney, he was over in the Ukraine peace or whatever war conference, and now he's in China. He's like doing all sorts of geopolitical stuff. So, got to keep our eyes on the immigration file. But today the Venezuela thing wasn't as prominent. It's dying off. This is in Toronto too. You can't even ride the TTC without getting stabbed. Black male is wanted for assaulting 2 people with an edge weapon at Dufferin subway station. Both attacks were unprovoked. The victims and suspect are not known to each other. So yeah, crazy people on the TTC. I can't even bring my kids on the TTC now. Kids want to see the subway. And like, I don't want to bring them on this shit. This is another thing going on in Toronto, really across Canada, is they're building these sixplexes or multiplex buildings in residential neighborhoods. And basically so they can cram as many immigrants as they can. Look at that monstrosity. Toronto sixplex by coming soon to a laneway suite in the back. So basically, I said they're future home to 150 Indians. So sixplex, 20 per plex. That's how they want to do it now. And the developers love it because they can slice and dice everything up. They wouldn't normally get away with building these things. But we got to fill the country with, we got to give all these people that we're bringing in somewhere to stay so that they're allowed to build these monstrosities. Imagine if one of these were built in your neighborhood. All right. And that's it for today. That's it for today, I guess. Back to a little bit of normalcy after a bunch of Venezuela stuff. All right. So the next broadcast will be January 12th, middle of January. And we'll see lots of stuff I'm sure will happen over the weekend. So until then, everybody have a nice night. Talk to you then.